Where did the original idea for Airships and Empires come from? Was there a single moment that inspired the game?
Mr. Palumbo's geometry class in high school. That's where it came from. And it was back in the day, we were talking like the early 80s, right? And I was sophomore in high school. Played Starfleet Battles a lot from Task Force games.
Oh yeah, we played a lot of that.
Yeah, Starfleet Battles was the bomb during that period. Everybody played the game, but your rule book was hundreds and hundreds and thousands of pages long because you had the expansions.
Yeah, it's multiple books.
Right,
multiple
absolutely,
books.
and you're always getting expansions to it. But it was a cool game. But the one thing I didn't like about it, it was very horizontal. It was a flat table, right? So you'd move your airships on a stand, right? And you just move it across the table.
We used to have to play it in an auditorium floor
because so many people played.
And because it was, massive movement. And, we're talking space and starships. You couldn't play it on a
regular table.
On DBA on a little 3x3 board,
Yeah, and it was a fun game.
It was.
But the problem was I didn't like the fact that you can fly these Romulan spaceships or Federation ships or something like that, and it was always horizontal, right? It was always on a flat plane. They didn't really have good rules for a 3D combat. So in geometry class, I was paying attention more to the game design, I think, than geometry, and developed this coordinate cube that basically gave us different trajectories and different points in space that people can do the 3D combat. So I think that was some of the earliest true foundation for Airships and Empires. Now those rules got spread around through the Northern Ohio Wargaming Society, and Dan Raditwilbich, who you know, he spread it around the country at different conventions and so on. So people were familiar with those rules, which kind of became a bigger rule set with some other company. But I took those rules and I kind of put it on the shelf for a long time. And the concept for the multi-dimensional, different elevations of the airships really weren't a thing in the 80s. They've developed with some other of the fighter.
Right. There was like a
today.
World War I fighter game that you would have telescoping.
Absolutely. Right. So I was trying to think of a more simplified version of that rather than the telescoping or the old Blue Max type book where you kind of flip with the maneuvers. So those rules went on the shelf for decades, right? So they literally have been back there. The concept was there in the back of my dusty brain, and it didn't really come forward again until I started attending Origins Game Fair, and the National Community of Gamers, which is another community group that I created, was having a lot of GMs at the convention, and a couple of fabulous game designers like Lisa Ford and Alex Ford. They had these great, cool games, very quick. Smurf Wars that Lisa created. Alex has a Steampunk Beatdown, and they probably have a dozen other games that have this cult following of people that always play at Origins. So I saw how they were playing their games and the pace of them and the simplicity of them. So I kind of dusted off the rules, and that's kind of where Airships and Empires kind of got some new life.
Dan, you've spent years perfecting Airships and Empires. At what point did your family stop asking, how's the game coming, and start asking, is that game ever coming?
My family has no interest in games. They have very little interest in what I do. I don't think they've ever...
Nobody cares.
Nobody cares. Nobody cares. They thought it was another cockamamie idea that I had.
By Dan Mazur.
Yeah.
Okay. Every designer has a mechanic they're especially proud of. Which part of Airships and Empires best represents your design philosophy?
I'm going to give a short answer and a long answer. Short answer is player agency. So player agency is very important. And within the game, there are two aspects of the player agency that I love. The first thing is we have a command point structure where each airship has its own set of command points. there's a set number, and then you roll randomly. There's some bonuses depending on your airship and so on. But you have a set number of command points, and you allocate those command points across, whether you're from attacking or moving, or you can use for changing elevation or repairing your ship. So you have a set number in a round.
So there's so many things you can do per round,
Per
and
round.
you have to determine
Right.
which you're going to do.
It's not just which you're going to do, but in what order.
What order?
Right.
too.
So a lot of games will have a very
Right.
a
Movement.
very sequence.
Right.
So in this game, it is very different. You can decide I'm going to spend a couple of points and move, then I can change elevation, then I'm going to fire, then I'm going to move again and fire again. I'm going to rotate my ship and blast you from the other side. So there's the player agency from that aspect is what I really like. But the other big thing is the airship design. That's another aspect of player agency where a player all the players they start with a certain size hull. You can determine what you're going to be playing with. So a certain size hull has a certain amount of weight it can carry. You start stocking it with weapons and armor and celium, which is our flotation device, our hydrogen of the age, and of course there's infernal machines, these steampunk crazy machines that you, based on your faction, you might have access to certain infernal machines where others don't. But you design your own game, so we could have a 50-point game, and we design our own airships. Our airships are completely different from each other, even though they're even from the same faction. They can be completely different. So that's what I like about the game is those two aspects of player agency.
I will say, I'm going to put this up so I can zoom into this and you can see it. His miniatures for the game are gorgeous. This one's a really nice one too. I mean, for such a new game and being done by, this isn't being done by GW or WizKids. This is one game designer with some help from a couple people
absolutely.
here or there, but one game designer's concept, and they're just beautiful. I mean, I wish I could still paint because these look like they'd be a blast to paint.
They are really fun, and we have 24 airships across the 6 factions. So each faction has 4 different airships. We actually provide different engines, so you can actually customize these models by adding more engines around it, adding sails, anything like that, on how you design your own airship based on the agency within the player design. So we have 24 airships for freighters or cargo vessels that are often used in some of the scenarios. Those are really cool airships as well. We also have another line that's going to be a limited edition. So in the game you get, because a lot of people can't afford the miniatures, right?
Right.
And the thing is,
they're ridiculous. Some of these games.
That's right. I'm not a game workshop. I don't have really expensive price tags on it. I'm not a publicly traded company. So you can get an entire fleet of airships for roughly $30-$40. Right? You can get an entire set.
You can't even buy a rule book from Games Workshop for $30.
No, not even close.
Right. I mean, if you're going to get started with whatever the new abomination of Warhammer is, it's $200-$300 just to get the starter box.
Not including adding more miniatures.
Right. Which you have to.
Right. With this game, you can always buy more miniatures. Please buy more miniatures, but they're inexpensive. I think that I don't remember the price point of these things right now, but the larger airships are probably $15. The smaller airships you're talking in the $7-8 range. But you don't need a lot of airships to play the game.
Right.
A lot of times people are playing with 2 airships, maybe a fleet of 4 airships. And for the large games, you might have 8 airships. You're not having hundreds of miniatures on the table. And that's another beauty thing. But even if you don't want to get the miniatures, when you buy the rule book, there's basically miniature cutouts, right? So all the miniatures have our size and all the artwork is in there. Christopher Reeve.
So you can get playing the moment you get the rules.
You can get the rules, read the quick set of rules, or play with somebody that's played before, or watch some of the YouTube videos that we're doing. In 10 minutes, you can actually have miniatures on the table that are high art and start playing the game. You can't change the elevations like these things, but you use dies to identify, determine what your elevation is. Yeah. So it's
I'm
very
sure people
fast
too
game.
could figure out a way, to change the standard.
Sure.
That's the great thing about people in our hobby. We're kind of crafty, and
We're always inventing our own
right.
stuff.
We always fiddle.
Right, and you have your own. If you have your own miniatures, then play with your own miniatures. I mean, it's miniature agnostic, really. But we've designed these things. So we've got the 24 for the factions. We've got the 3 for the freighters, and then we've got the 24 that come with the book, the paper ones. But we have another limited line of the airships that directly match the book. So we've got 24 other airships for the 3D print, and we can do the models. Or we sell the STL files too for those of the
So if you got a
3D
3D
printers.
printer, you make your own.
Right. Buy
So
the file
now
once,
if I
print
buy
100 times.
right, I got now. If I want 8 ships, I got 8 ships for the cost of the resin
You got
or
it.
whatever. No,
Yeah.
that's a great way. That's the future. I mean, companies that aren't moving towards that model, right? The old model of me having to pay. I mean, Dan and I both played Warhammer forever. And we both had ridiculous sized armies.
Right.
Like I was always orcs
I was
and
always dwarves,
Skaven,
yeah.
and he was always dwarves. And my Skaven, how many models did I have in that Skaven
Hundreds.
army?
There were hundreds.
Hundreds. And they were all painted
Yep.
like museum quality. And so that's the thing. It was a lot of money. We used to love the game.
Yeah.
A lot of money. This is a deep, because I've played it, this is a deep, strategic, fun game. And it's like almost, like I said, you can't take your wife out to dinner or to a movie
No way.
for what this is going to cost you.